Most of the media is covering this like it's a peace deal story. That's only half true. What actually happened in the Strait of Hormuz is much bigger than a diplomatic headline. Iran thought the strait was leverage. They thought if they could threaten global shipping, bottle up the tankers, spike the oil prices, and make the world nervous enough, they could force the United States to back down. But Trump may have just flipped that entire equation because now the Strait of Hormuz is no longer Iran's pressure point against the world. It's become America's pressure point against Iran. And that is the part most of the media is missing, including some of the people in the comments. I made a video this morning talking about this 14-point memo, and I saw so many people in the comments, if Trump agrees to a peace deal, I'm never voting for him again, or I'm not voting. I'm like, dude, the president's not running again. He doesn't care. The last thing he is worried about is your vote. Right? He wants to end conflicts. The guy has ended more wars than George Bush, Obama, Clinton, and George W. started. Okay. So don't get your underwear in a twist. Trump paused Project Freedom. That was the U.S. mission to guide the ships through the strait after saying there had been a great progress towards this ultimate agreement with Iran. And I believe that's because Iran saw that we could get our warships through and there's nothing they could do about it. So CBS came out and reported that Project Freedom was paused, but the blockade itself stayed in place. And that's never been more evident, and it matters because a pause is diplomacy. A blockade is pressure. And when those two things happen at the same time, it's not weakness, that's coercive diplomacy backed by United States naval power, and I love it. Now I'm going to add this to the picture. According to the AP, a fighter jet shot out the rudder of an Iranian tanker in the Gulf of Oman as it tried to breach the American blockade. Okay, so that's this here. So if you think the blockade's not working, look where this happened. You see the marker here for this FA-18? That is way out in the Gulf. U.S. Navy FA-18 Super Hornet fired on an Iranian-flagged vessel near the blockade. So it's way past the actual Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is back up here. Now, there's another FA-18 that got a little jiggy with it, and another one over here, too. Could be the same guy. I don't know. Let's think it's Maverick or Goose, right? Maybe Iron Eagle. But that is where we're at right now. So I don't want to pretend this is just another peace negotiation. This was a clear message. You can talk, you can sign, you can reopen the strait, or you can keep testing the United States Navy and find out exactly how little room Iran has left to maneuver. I know what sea control looks like, and what we're watching right now is not random chaos. It's not just another Middle East headline. This is what it looks like when military pressure starts turning into political leverage. And the question today is simple. Did Iran just blink, or did Trump just take away the one card that Iran thought they still had? So let's start with the basic picture, okay? And for weeks, we know Iran's biggest source of leverage has been the Strait of Hormuz, where all of these tankers come in and out of. And now that source of leverage is gone because we are starting to light it up there again. That narrow waterway is not just a dot on a map. It's one of the most important maritime choke points on planet Earth. Oil, fuel, insurance markets, global energy, all of it runs through that one narrow piece of water. So when Iran threatens the strait, they're not just threatening America. They're threatening every country that relies on stable shipping, stable fuel prices, predictable trade. And that's why Iran believed they had leverage. They believed they made the strait dangerous. And they made it dangerous enough that the pressure would move away from Tehran and into Washington. That is their game. Make the world nervous, make gas prices rise, get all of the natives complaining, my gas is going up. But then you're spending $74 on DoorDash for a milkshake that's a mile from your house, right? Make American voters feel it at the pump. They know that our midterm elections are coming up. Then hope the United States gets blamed for the instability. There's a problem with that strategy. It only works if the United States refuses to enforce the line. And you can see right here, the line is held, baby, and it feels so good. And that's where this whole story changes, right? The key move. Trump paused Project Freedom, but he did not end the blockade. That is the distinction. Project Freedom was the movement of ships through the strait. It was the escort. But the blockade's different. The blockade's the squeeze. The blockade says Iran does not get to close international shipping lanes. And that is why the tanker incident matters. When a fighter jet disables the rudder on a tanker, instead of sinking it, that is a very specific kind of message. It's controlled escalation. It's not emotional. It's not reckless. That is not we lost control. That says we can stop you. We can disable you. We can enforce the blockade, and we can do it without turning every single encounter into a full-scale naval war. That's how military power gets translated into diplomatic pressure. And that's the part most people are going to miss. A lot of commentators look at this and only ask, are we going to war? That's the wrong question. The better question is, who has the leverage right now? And after this, I do not think the answer is Iran. Now, let's jump right into this article that is swirling from CBS News. Live updates. Trump threatens Iran strikes, says too soon for new direct talks after reporting great progress. So CBS is already trying to spin this. They want to spin this into a little bit of weakness. According to CBS, Trump said there's been very good talks over the previous 24 hours, so it was possible a deal could happen. But he also warned that if Iran does not agree, the bombing could resume at a higher level and more intensity. That tells you the real structure here. That is not please come to the table. This is the table is your off-ramp. That's a major difference. A weak country begs for negotiation. A strong country creates conditions where the other side needs negotiation. We want them to tap out, and they have to. And whether people like Trump or hate Trump, this is their strategy on display. Military pressure first, economic pressure second, diplomatic off-ramp third, and the blockade ties it all together. Okay? Next up, we've got a little coverage from the AP. The U.S. fires on an Iranian oil tanker as Trump pressures Tehran for a deal to end the war. And I want you to look very closely at this photo. This is their leader, their foreign minister, Beijing, meeting with the Chinese foreign minister. China is coming to the table saying, Iran, you have got to do something. You saw there, China's deeply distressed because we're cutting into their bottom line. That's what's happening. And I guarantee you that China is telling Iran exactly what to do, how to do it, and they better come to a deal quick because Iran's economy depends on China's economy. China's ability to operate depends on Iran's ability to operate. If we pull the plug on Iran from shipping oil, which is what we've done, China runs out of gas real quick, really quickly. And that is, I think it's beauty. I think that's a beautiful thing to see because of the leverage that we have, right? Leverage is there. There's nothing China can do. If they get involved, that's bad. That is really end of the world scenario bad. Because I think that's the only superpower that kind of comes to our level. I'd love to get your opinion on that. And I want you to leave me a comment down below. Do you think that Iran has the leverage or the president has the leverage? The United States has the leverage. If you think Iran has the leverage, type Iran in the comments. If you think the United States has the leverage, type good old USA. I read every comment and I really want to understand how you all think, because I think it's easy to get bogged down by these little chaotic moves and miss the bigger picture. Trump says Iran will be bombed at a much higher level if it doesn't agree to a peace deal. That is, if you don't do what we say, we're going to bomb you into doing what we want you to do. And I think Iran reads this. I think China reads this. It's up to you to decide. But this is all on the timing, the upcoming visit from the President of the United States. He's going to China. U.S. military attacks Iran flagged tanker attempting to breach the naval blockade. That sent a clear message. Blockade's still in place. Project Freedom is on a hold while you all gather your papers and figure some stuff out. And it also sends the message that we are there, we are watching. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. Do you think Iran could stop an F-A-18 Super Hornet with what they currently have? I don't believe so. Not one bit do I believe that. And I think the president knows it. I think China knows it. And I think Iran knows it. I don't even think Iran is doing their own negotiating at this point. Now, the president had a little get together in the Oval Office this morning, and there were a couple of news reporters that asked a couple of questions that if you just watch it on the surface, you only get one message. But when you scratch and sniff, you get the real meaning here. So first up, we've got this reporter here. I'm not sure which, let's see, Garrett Hack. Where does he work? Okay, so first up, we've got this NBC News reporter. We know where they stand. Partisanship. We don't need the partisan politics right now, especially not from a news reporter. But I want you to listen to what he says.
That has refused to submit. You seem optimistic now as we may be closer to a deal. What's different about this moment now than in other moments where a deal has seemed close?
Well, why do you say they refused to submit? You don't know that. You don't know what's going on behind you.
U.S. ships a few days ago.
And a few days ago is a long time ago. In the world of war, a few days ago, no, they want to make a deal badly. And we'll see if we get there. If we get there, they can't have nuclear weapons. It's very simple. But what's not to...
So the president responds as he should. A couple of days is a lifetime in war. Think about how long an hour was for that Strike Eagle weapons officer that was stranded in Iran. An hour was a lifetime. 2 hours was 2 lifetimes before he was rescued. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The president reiterated they cannot have a nuclear weapon. The deal is there for them to make, and they get one choice. And if they really value their people, which I believe the Iranian people are completely different than the actual regime running it, that's why I'm against just obliterating the country, because there's some really good people there. I've got a friend that lives here close by that is from Iran, can't go back and visit his family. He's hoping for peace. He's praying for peace. And they've cut off their internet, so he can't even communicate with them. He doesn't even know if they're alive right now. So that is where we're at. And here's another reporter. Now, while all of this is going on, there are certain members of Congress that are, I would say, undercutting what the president has accomplished so far. And one of those members of Congress is a lady by the name of Pramila Jayapal. She's from Washington State. And she got in front of a microphone and a camera and announced that she's been working with foreign countries to supply oil to Cuba. Cuba's a communist country. The president has made it very clear that we, the United States, will control what happens to Cuba. And I don't know if this is a violation of the Hatch Act. I'd love to get your opinion on that because it seems like it. I want you to hear what she says.
In January, Trump issued an executive order threatening tariffs on any country supplying fuel to Cuba. This was this January, just a few months ago. And oil shipments from Venezuela, that's where Cuba had been getting its oil, were halted after the U.S. operations to kidnap Nicolas Maduro. Since January, only one Russian tanker of oil has made it to Cuba. In fact, it landed just a couple of days before I landed. And one tanker has enough oil for 10 to 14 days of Cuba's oil needs. So it's a very limited amount of time. Now, Russia has said they're going to send another tanker. I was in conversations with the ambassadors from Mexico and some other places, and I know other countries in Latin America are trying to figure out how to get oil.
So she just brings up a fact that she has been working with other countries, it sounds like Russia as well, to deliver oil to Cuba. That sounds like a violation of the Hatch Act for me. And that's one of the reasons that Mike Flynn is nowhere near politics. And there's some other problems with him as well that we've come to find out. But this needs to be investigated. And I hope all of you will share this video so that more people know about what this Congresswoman is doing. And there's one part I want you to remember. Iran's leverage was never just uranium. It was never just missiles. It was never just threats from Tehran. Iran's real leverage was the idea that they could make the Strait of Hormuz too dangerous for the world to ignore. But once the United States proves it can enforce the blockade, which we've done, we disable the vessels, we keep the pressure on Iran, and we ramp the whole equation changes. That is why this moment matters. This is not just about whether a peace deal gets signed. This is about whether Iran still has the ability to threaten global shipping and force America to blink. And right now it looks like Trump may have taken that card off the table. So I want to know what you think. Did Iran just blink? Or is this another trap inside of the Strait of Hormuz? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want straight military geopolitical analysis without the media spin, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I am not your guy to just make videos and get angry with you. I'm not that person. Hit the like button if this breakdown helped you understand what is really happening here. Share this video with someone who is only getting the cable news version because the headline is peace talks, but the real story is leverage, and Iran may have just lost it. This Congresswoman in Washington, she needs to be investigated very quickly. How much money is she getting paid? Take care. I'll see you in the next one.